About quarter till 9, Saturday, December 2nd, we're headed over to the Isthmus. So we are not seeing any real wind at the moment, maybe a lot of motoring. If we get a chance to sail, we'll sail. I'm still set up in double reef from the small craft advisory sailing that we did. Maybe it's been 2 weeks. I kind of lost track at this point. It's been a couple of weeks. So we may need to shake that reef out. So we'll walk through that. I'll do that at some point on this adventure anyways. So it's still pretty early. We're about 10 after 9. I do want to rig with the sail up. We've got this weird, maybe 5-knot breeze coming from behind us. It's kind of mostly north, some from the east, so about 50 degrees. Might give us a little bit of push. Of course, we might be powering faster than the wind going this direction. But first thing I want to do is I want to shake off this reef that my good buddy Andy from Sailing Soleil rigged last time we were out. Let me get behind the stack pack here. And then if you can see this hook right here, that's all I needed to do. It wasn't on there super secure. Now we're bouncing around a little bit awake. But next thing is to open up the lazy cradle. You get access to the sail here. Pull this little line. It'll pull the zipper out. And the next thing we'll need to do is we'll need to take this red reefing clue off and give it some slack. So we get ready here for that. I think we are going to have to reef number 2 clue. We'll raise that up and make sure that we've got plenty of slack. So when we raise the sail, we don't want that reef line holding us back. And we'll go ahead and make sure we got plenty of slack here. The halyard hooked up. Now the next thing is we're going to take her off the wind, put her down to full idle, and as soon as we get centered up here, the boom should kind of straighten up and we should be flogging a little bit, luffing the main. I think we're kind of about on it now. Throttle down. Let's see what we got going on up here. Now we just need to watch and make sure that we're not getting tangled in with the battens and these lazy jacks. Halyard looks clean all the way up to the top. Okay, let's have a look. All right, so far so good. We're getting pretty close. So one thing I want to briefly check, and it's about 9:30. So we've got 18 miles to go to the Isthmus. Contemplating Emerald Bay as well. We may do a drive-by, and if the anchorage is open there, we may drop the hook. But about this time last year, just at the beginning of the year, I switched over to lithium iron phosphate batteries, which have been a real game changer. They've worked out exceptionally well. But one of the things I didn't do when I repowered is hook up an external battery regulator. The concern there is it works fine for AGM, and I have a DC to DC charger which goes to from AGM to lithium iron phosphate. That's fine. But the problem with lithium batteries is they will take as much charge as you can throw at them, or at least as much as I can throw at them. I'd need 400 amps of charging output to exceed the the BMSs on these two batteries that are in parallel. But they'll drink as much as you can throw at them, so your alternator can run at max pull for hours and hours if your batteries are down, and that is a good way to burn up your alternator. So one of the protections you can do, at least what I did a week or two ago, is I hooked up a Balmar MC618 charge controller, and it has temperature sensors both on the starting battery as well as the alternator. It's also, you know, you can set it so it's set to AGM profile for my starting battery, and you can also decrease the field on it so it doesn't, you know, pull as much on the alternator if you need to. But if it senses an over temperature condition, it'll automatically reduce the field and reduce the pull on the alternator till temperature gets back down to normal operating range. So that was important to me. I mean, I've been operating without this for a year now almost, and I've had zero issues. But you know, the more longer cruises I do where I'm drawing the batteries down, the harder this alternator is going to work. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the controller right now and just have a look and see. First observation you'll make is that I'm not an electrician by trade, and I could have done a nicer job hanging up these wires. I have a little bit of cleanup to do on that front. Let's open her up and take a look. Also need to clip the zip ties. AGL is for the AGM battery profile. That's field of 0. F, battery voltage is 13.3. Alternator 13.4. Battery 1 temperature 24 degrees Celsius. And the alternator temperature is 36 degrees Celsius. Battery 2 temperature is going to say NC for not connected. There we go. So that was actually exactly what I was hoping to see. The F that came up was not an expletive. It basically means that the charge state is in float, which is what I expected since the batteries were mostly topped off before we left. Started off in bulk for a little while, and I think it would have gone through absorption. Now it's in float, which means the batteries are topped off, and now the alternator's not going to be working that hard. Tomorrow, when we have a little bit deeper pull on the batteries, we'll do a little bit more meaningful test with the alternator charge controller. But at this point, I don't have any reason to suspect that we're going to see any strange results or anything like that. It looks like it's all working. So here's the irony about me shaking out that second reef. If there's really light winds and your motor sailing just to balance, and I don't think the camera's going to do it justice, but we do have some swells coming from the west. It's hitting us on the beam a little bit, so we are kind of bouncing back and forth. You're actually better off in light winds motor sailing if the wind's not really doing a lot of work with the double reefed main. Less wear and tear, so you have less luffing, flogging of your main. Your boom won't be bouncing back and forth, and you also, while you're motoring, will get better mileage, better economy. Now, if the wind's working for you and you've got enough breeze, and the wind's working for you, and you can put your main out, and you know, maybe hook up a preventer, just a line at the end of the boom to keep the boom from bouncing around. If you do that, you know, you might pick up a little bit of speed and get a little bit of benefit from having the sail up. But right now, there just isn't much to work with from a wind perspective. So what are we doing now? 10 after 10. Oh, we got the sails up. We're in neutral. Let's kill this. Let's see how we do. I'm seeing about maybe 9 knots of true, which is good enough for us. we'll check out what we've got going on here. I'll probably have to do a little bit of sail trimming, but we got the 135 Genoa out. Hard to see behind the main. And we've got like 9-second period waves. Swells coming at about 2 to 4 feet. And I would say the bigger ones are definitely 4 feet. And they're coming pretty frequently, so it's making things a little bouncy at 9 seconds. Not too bad, still pretty comfortable. And we've got just enough wind to keep us moving at somewhere between 4.5 and 5 knots. That's good. I briefly put the drive in reverse and then back into neutral after I've killed the engine, and that makes sure that the max prop levels out, so it's a folding, it's a feathering propeller. It would be the more accurate description. And sometimes it doesn't always pop into place or whatever until you put it in reverse, and then it'll feather and won't create as much drag. One thing about this 135 is we have to run with the car pretty far back, and I could move it forward in this lighter wind since we're going downwind, but one of the issues we have to watch out for is chafe, and I'm not liking that, so we'll probably just go ahead and open up the gate to eliminate that. Look at this, we're just kind of charging along doing 6 knots or so. I wasn't expecting this. I thought we were going to be motoring across all day, but we got the 135 out. Looks like I could still trim things in a little bit. Main's looking okay, nice and full. We're just kind of driving through these 4-foot swells. Maybe running a little high for the Isthmus. So I might see if I can come down another 10 degrees without compromising our sailing. I do have a ship, the Ocean Reliance. I can see it out here on AIS. They're about 5 miles out. We're going to go ahead and contact them on radio, and I'm going to go ahead and go to starboard. About 30 degrees to start, and let's look at their CPA. A little less than a mile. So we're gonna go and hail these guys on radio. Ocean Reliance, sailing vessel keel dragger.
The keel dragger of the Ocean Reliance, do you have 13, Ken?
Sorry, didn't copy. Was that 1-3? Over?
1-3, please. 1-3.
Copy, 1-3. Ocean Reliance, this is keel dragger on 1-3.
Keel dragger, the Ocean Reliance, 13.
Hey, good morning. I'm just right off your bow right now. I'm gonna plan to pass you port to port and then cut past your stern if you're good with that. Over.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got a CPA of about a mile on you now, and I'll just hold my course to speed and it should be fine. I appreciate the call.
Thanks. I'll maintain course as well. Keel dragger standing by 1316. All right. It's about a mile, a little closer than I'd like to get without having any kind of contact. We have slowed down quite a bit. The wind's dropped down, and we're running maybe a little deep for our sail configuration, but that's okay. I'd rather just hang here. We won't get quite as close. When Ocean Reliance passes across our bow, we will start heading to port. Another probably 45 degrees. Now we're kind of right head on into these 2 to 4 foot swells. So you can see Ocean Reliance, it's 179 meters, 20 length, 23-meter beam, and bearing 239, a distance of 3 miles and reducing, with the CPA about 1 mile, maybe a little less. So that's as close as we're going to get, and they'll be at their closest point in about a little under 11 minutes. They are doing 10.89 knots with a course over ground of 78, heading of 80. They're headed to LA Harbor, LAX. Keep cruising. I can see them up ahead of us. In about 10 minutes, we'll get another shot at their closest point, get a better look at them, and we will bug out about 40 degrees, about 50 degrees to port. Start heading back towards the Isthmus, Emerald Bay, wherever we're going to wind up. So sometimes when I call a ship and they want to go to a different working number, I'll monitor that channel for a little while till we get past them, as well as channel 16. So on my handheld, there is a dual watch function that I can set up. If you can see where it says dual watch there, and that will allow me to monitor both channels. All right, Ocean Reliance just over a mile away. I've already taken her to port 20 degrees. We're going to come up another 20 or 30. One thing I should point out on this one is Ocean Reliance is kind of coming from the west, coming from outside the shipping lanes. Now they're just kind of entering the southbound shipping lanes right now. We went from a broad reach to a close reach, and now we're making about 6.5 knots underway. I expect the wind's going to continue to kind of clock around until it's coming off our starboard, which is going to be more like west, northwest. But we'll take this all the way in. We continue to get this kind of wind. Really nice. Just like that, we're close hauled with wind at 50 degrees apparent. So we've got the Genoa pulled in, we've got the Traveler moved up, and we've got the main sheeted in fairly well. Not super tight, still running maybe almost 10 knots of wind, so reasonably mild. Nice with the Genoa, and you know, we're doing a good 5.5 knots. We've almost got the wind on our nose, so my head sail's luffing a bit, and we've slowed down a lot. Wind is also a bit lighter, so I think we're getting into the zone where there's not going to be a lot of wind. We've got about 8 3/4 nautical miles to go. I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and roll up the head sail, which is luffing around right now, and we'll leave the main up and we'll just motor sail. Noon update. We are 4.78 nautical miles from the island. Still motor sailing. The wind's died down quite a bit. 2.5 miles out. These are pretty far out, but there are some Risso's dolphins over there to port. See them popping up. So this anchor waypoint is where I like to anchor, and I can actually see on AIS there's a boat Ramble On, a sailing boat. Looks like they're already anchored there in my little spot. So this is where I like to anchor. It's right off of this Indian Rock here outside of Emerald Bay. And yeah, I could squeeze in, you know, we could put another boat in there, but I kind of like having my room. So we'll do a little drive-by and likely continue on to Two Harbors. So there's a sailboat anchored over there, looks like. About right in the spot that I wanted to hang out in, so we'll go ahead and let them have their space and we'll head to Two Harbors. I don't think it's going to be super busy. Last week ago, 2 weeks ago was relatively empty at Avalon, so I expect it's going to be more like a ghost town early December here in Two Harbors. Looks like we have one boat in Cherry Cove and one or two over there in 4th of July, or over towards 4th of July. Pretty sparse here at Two Harbors. All right, anchored down in 93 feet of water. It's kind of cool, all these little bait fish around the boat. You can see the sides of them, they're kind of coming up to the top. Morning times are the best when you're cruising. It's super quiet outside. It's usually, wind is usually pretty calm here, so there's not going to be much wind today. It doesn't look like it's going to be pretty light, but we had a nice surprise yesterday. We had a great sail for about 2/3 of the trip over. I was pretty excited about that. It's maybe a quarter after 5 a.m. Just enjoying my coffee, and I've got this Aspar heater. That's not going to show up super well, but it's a forced air diesel heater. So, what is it? The 3rd of December. So as it starts cooling off a little bit outside, I'll crank that sucker up before I go to bed. I don't like to leave it on while I'm sleeping. But I'll crank it up before I go to bed, get it nice and toasting here. There's a vent in the aft cabin back there that will heat that up, and then there's a couple in the main salon area. And then there's one forward in the V berth, and it heats it up. It gets super comfortable in here, and then in the morning, or if I'm like freezing at night, I might wake up and turn it on for a little bit. But it's nice and toasty and comfortable here. It's the best. Well, beautiful morning. It's about 6:30. Engine's running, getting ready to haul the anchor. Pretty quiet here. Two Harbors. See maybe, I don't know, 8 or so boats, give or take, on the moorings. I guess a couple are over at 4th of July still. Pretty sparse here. It's okay with me. We're gonna haul up and see what we get with wind. I don't think we're gonna see much. It's pretty calm here. It's really more calm and peaceful than I was expecting here for Two Harbors. It was really nice. Got some decent sleep. Looks like we got a mess of kelp here. Look at that. Holy crap. It's helpful that it's pretty calm out here, so we just use the boat hook and get this stuff off. Typical night with a little bit of Starlink running, not all night. Refrigerator, charging up my MacBook Air, my ship's computer, phone, and GoPros and stuff like that. Diesel heater this morning, a little bit last night. Burned 150 amp hours out of the batteries, which is about par, and should take us a couple of hours worth of motoring to charge it. So I've got this new Balmar charge controller installed. So this is a little bit deeper test than we've done in the past, so periodically I'll inspect, just kind of keep an eye on the voltage, the charge state, and everything like that to see how we're doing. I don't anticipate any issues. Pretty smooth launch, really. Had to clean up some of that big fat bull kelp. That stuff's kind of like leather. Have a look at the conditions out here. Super flat. So we don't have those 2 to 4 foot swells that we had yesterday. Pretty gentle and not much wind at the moment. Looks pretty flat, so pretty flat, pretty clear, pretty easy passage. Just motoring, recharging the batteries, enjoying this beautiful sunrise behind us. Look at that. And we are going to be on whale watch today, so I think it'll be a good day to try and spot them. Hopefully we'll get a good sighting or two. Got some dolphins up here. They were splashing about. I wonder if they're feeding. Charging towards us. This guy's straight in front of us. A couple of dolphins. These guys are just jumping. Yeah, we got a few off our bow here. What time we had a solid dolphin visit. It's 8:15. We're about mid-channel right now, so we've got about a little over 10 nautical miles to go. Approaching the shipping lane, so we got a little bit of a situation. We have kind of to our port quarter here behind us, we have the Utah Voyager, not in the shipping lanes. I think coming from westward bound. It's a tanker, 186 meters. They're at a distance of 4.86 miles with a CPA of 2 miles. So I'm good if we're going to be 2 miles away from them. But then if we look at the Del Monte Harvester, which is a 192 meter cargo ship, 0.37 nautical miles CPA at about 28 minutes. So what we're going to do is we are going to be clear of the Utah Voyager here, but we're going to be a little close for comfort to the Del Monte Harvester. So what we're going to do is we're going to call the Del Monte Harvester and let them know of our intentions to pass astern. So we're going to keep to their starboard and pass to stern of them rather than attempt to try and cut closely in front of them. So that's our plan at the moment. If we can't hail them, then we'll probably do a more dramatic course change so that we're clear of both the Utah Voyager as well as the Del Monte Harvester. Del Monte Harvester, sailing vessel keel dragger. Notice how these guys don't always listen on channel 16.
Keel dragger, speeder traffic, you can contact the Del Monte Harvester at channel 14.
Del Monte Harvester, sailing vessel keel dragger.
Station calling Del Monte Harvester, reply.
Hi, good morning. This is sailing vessel keel dragger. I see a CPA of roughly 0.5 nautical miles. My intention is to pass to your stern, so I will remain to your starboard and pass astern through the shipping lanes. Over.
Okay, copy that. So we will pass my stern. We will pass in clear. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Keel dragger out.
Traffic copy, thank you.
So, yeah, it's 1.4. I was thinking 1.3, but that was the working channel for that was for another call I made yesterday. So these guys don't always listen on 1.6. I think as they're coming in, 1.4's listening. Traffic is on 1.4, so these guys are usually on 1.4 coming in, but why they don't respond to 1.6 half the time, I have no idea. So we're going to wind up going a little bit more to port. There is the Del Monte Harvester, and there is the Utah Voyager. So he's coming, he's outside the shipping lanes. He's coming in this way. We're going to be a couple miles ahead of his bow, so he's not a concern. This guy is going to be a close CPA, so we just signaled to Del Monte Harvester that we're going to pass, remain on his starboard and pass astern of him. So he knows what our intentions are, so as long as he doesn't change course or do anything weird, we're good. And we'll continue to keep an eye on the Utah Voyager just to see if they make a change. If they're going to break a couple of miles or so, if they start changing course, we'll hail them. But looks good at the moment. I don't see any particular issues. To starboard, I don't see anybody northbound at this point that's going to be a concern for us. A little closer. Del Monte Harvester, Utah Voyager. Utah Voyager, looks like they're pointed straight at us, so we're clear of his bow. And Del Monte Harvester's coming through. We're gonna be a little close, but we'll be, you know, far enough away. This is one of the nice things about AIS is, you know, could have taken hand bearings and all that to figure out what's going on, but AIS makes it pretty simple. And at this point, I mean, we can eyeball it. Del Monte Harvester cutting across our bow here. We're about 75 degrees off course right now to pass the stern of these guys. Utah Voyager off to port. He's on a path to cut astern of us. Relatively stress-free passing, actually, not too bad. About 3 nautical miles out from Angel's Gate. I can see the lighthouse from here. See, there's a tug coming out. The only thing that we're gonna worry about now is I think the Utah Voyager, which is over here, which we passed in front of, is inbound to LA Harbor. So hopefully we've got a clear shot inside Angel's Gate. As long as we can kind of get inside the lighthouse, and then we can go to port and get right out of the channel. Okay, changed my mind a little bit. We're just gonna take a little bit more conservative path here. I want to give these guys more room to come in, so we're just gonna hang outside the harbor. Do have looks like a tow outbound here, so we will stay out of the way, let these guys through, and then we'll enter Angel's Gate. So I think that's the smart move. So while we're drifting here, waiting for the Utah Voyager to come in, we're going to talk about a little bit of a goal that I had for this year. So every year I'll come up with some kind of a sailing goal for 2023. My goal was to sail 2,000 nautical miles. So I have maybe, I don't know, 10,000 or so miles of experience. And a lot of that's been short hop stuff. So while, you know, it's not a huge number in terms of miles, in terms of the frequency, it's quite a bit. So I'm on the water quite a bit. 2,000 miles would be the equivalent of about, you know, 40 plus trips to Avalon. You know, quite a bit. So obviously we've done a few you know, longer paths and things like that. These guys are coming out to sea. It looks like they're extending the tow line even further, so I can see the line buried in the water on the bow of this barge that he's towing. I can see he's got his light on. You don't want to make a mistake and come in between the barge and the tug. Not sure if you'll be able to see this, but as I'm looking at this barge, I see some lines off the stern dragging in the water. And I'm a little confused there. You can see the bridle now picking up more clearly. So this guy's starting to power and make way here, but I don't know what is dragging behind this tug. If it's if they run a little drogue or something like that to help keep it from going sideways. I have no clue what's going on there. A couple outbound sailboats. Utah Voyager is just cutting past the lighthouse here. Moving more quickly than we are, and I see there are lobster pots littered in front of the harbor entrance.